Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and today I want to come to you with a quick commentary about some breaking news that happened in the state of New Mexico. I'm sure by now you have seen where the governor of New Mexico has suspended the conceal and open carry of firearms, basically in the city of Albuquerque and the county of Bernalillo, because of an epidemic of gun violence, which of course is a public health risk. So, she essentially used an executive action to suspend your constitutional rights. And when asked why and where do you get this power, she says, well, my oath to defend the Constitution of both the United States and of New Mexico is not absolute. Let me ask you, when you take an oath, let's say it's sworn before a judge in a court of law to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, and you look at the judge and say, well, I'll say the oath, and I'm going to do my very best, but it's not absolute. Well, the judge is just going to have you thrown in jail. You're going to perjure yourself. We take oaths very seriously in our system of democracy, really a representative republic. And that oath is supposed to be something sacred. You're swearing your word and an allegiance to do what you say you're going to do and to stand up for those values, even if you disagree with them. When you take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States or your respective states, you might not agree with everything in there, but you're saying, okay, I agree upon getting this job or winning this elected office. I will follow these rules. Now, if you don't like those rules, there is a mechanism in place to have them changed, and that's how we do it. The federal Constitution has Article 5. We have two ways of amending the Constitution, and it is a very difficult thing to do, and it's that way on purpose. Many state constitutions are the same way, but most of them can be amended by referendum. Now, that's all she would have to have done. She could have said, I can't do this. I want to do it. So please, citizens of New Mexico, let's work together. Let's amend the Constitution of the state and the federal government to give me the power to do this. And that would allow the citizens to have this debate, allow them to vote on it, allow them to have their elected representatives have input on this. But nope, we have to go the way of being a tyrant. Now, how is this going to play out in court? Well, I don't really know. I know a lot of people say there's already people that have filed for injunctions and restraining orders, and of course in a post-Bruin and Heller world, this is going to get overturned probably on Monday. Well, it definitely might. But you guys still have a lot of faith in the courts. And you guys always, especially when it comes to many of the videos that I have made, especially lately about Matt Hoover, you all say, it's not right that he went to jail for selling a piece of art or an etching. And I go, I agree with you. But he understood the political landscape that we live in. I challenge a lot of you that if you think what Matt Hoover did is perfectly fine, then I want you to pick up his mantle. I want you to make the same product that he did, the auto key card. And I want you to sell it the same way he did. After all, it's your right to do it. Well, why won't you? I know why. Because you know you're going to be walking a fine line. The world is not fair. Children shouldn't be in hospitals dying of cancer, but they are, because the world is not fair. The government and the politicians that represent us should have to follow the Constitution of the United States and their respective states. But they don't, because the world is not fair. And complaining about it isn't going to change anything. I've said in many videos in the past that I think we are on the path to losing our Second Amendment rights, slowly but surely over time. People have way too much faith in the courts. I know what the Supreme Court told the lower courts to do, but we're seeing judge after judge find wordsmithing to get around all these things. After all, this was a public health emergency is what the governor of New Mexico claimed that this was, to allow her to suspend the Constitution. When it comes to California, they just levy taxes. Well, we're going to make owning a gun, buying ammunition, carrying a gun, having a license so prohibitively expensive that we're not denying your right. We just tax it into a position where only the ultra wealthy can afford it. After all, we didn't ban the Second Amendment. We didn't stop you from owning guns. They just make it financially improbable and infeasible. And there's other states that make virtually the entire state a sensitive location. Well, you can't carry a gun. Even though we have to allow you to have a carry permit, well, you can't take it on the roadways because that's a public space. You can't take it to a park. You can't take it to this place because it's 4 miles from a school or whatever, essentially making the entire state a sensitive place. And although you have a concealed carry permit, you can't carry anywhere. It's this wordplay. It's this clever-mindedness that they think that they have, like, we're going to get them. And this is no different. But when it comes to us winning this battle, and why I tell you guys that I'm not a registered voter and I don't support the Republican Party anymore, it's because we play by the rules. Many people on our side play by the rules. The governors that are on our side aren't ever going to pull something like this. Imagine that you're playing a game of Monopoly, and the person you're playing against is constantly cheating, constantly changing the rules, taking money out of the bank, giving themselves property cards when they didn't earn them. And even if you continue to play by the rules and you somehow get an advantage where you're winning, what are they going to do? They're just going to cheat more until they win. And that's what's happening in the world of politics, and especially the world of the Second Amendment today. I am so happy that so many of you that follow my channel are honorable people. You guys say we have to play by the rules. We can't be dirty and play politics dirty like the other side. Well, I'm asking you, why not? We obviously live in a post-constitutional republic. And what I mean by that is, yes, the Constitution says shall not be infringed. But we have lots of infringements. It says they can't do other things, and they do those things because of some reason, right? Our rights aren't absolute. Then as time goes on, these absolutes become less and less so until eventually these aren't constitutional amendments that preserve our rights. They're just suggestions, and then they're preferences. And then they're like, well, on a good day, if it's high noon and the moon is full and the sky is sunny, then you get to have all of your rights. But if one of those things isn't right, well, you know, we can infringe upon you all we want. That's what they really meant. It just keeps going and going and going. And because our side won't fight, they won't play dirty, we have to accept that the world is not the way it should be anymore. The politicians that represent us in the red states need to start doing this to other rights. Just say, hey, it's a public health emergency and we're going to do this, this, and this. And start denying people other rights and wait for the other side to go, you can't do that. Where do you get the constitutional authority? And you go, well, you set the precedent in New Mexico. You set the precedent to tax things into oblivion in California. You said these things can be banned in sensitive places because of the state of New Jersey. Well, we're going to do that and start to go after the causes that you care about. Or what about politicians and law enforcement officers and DAs that are on our side in very red areas going, you know what, we're going to put up a middle finger to the federal government and we're not going to enforce any gun law. In fact, we encourage our citizens to make suppressors, to convert guns to full auto, and we're going to use all of our resources to prevent federal law enforcement from enforcing those laws, just like the leftist states and the blue states prevent the feds from enforcing laws that they don't like. When are we going to start playing politics the way that they do? But many of you guys say that we can't. You have faith, and most of the time online you guys are saying things like, they can't do that. That's not what the Constitution says. It's against the law. I know, and I agree with you. But you're playing against people that don't play by the rules. So what do you expect? And when you play by the rules and actually have an advantage and you actually win, what are they going to do? They're going to break the rules more. So for us to win this fight, to win this debate, and to stop seeing all of these people and these politicians become tyrants, we have a couple of options. The first thing is, obviously, the citizens of New Mexico need to rise up and they need to recall their governor. And if they can't do that in the next election, they need to vote her out. But will they? Well, of course not. Because of the political machine and the fact that we only have a two-party system. And because this governor has done this, the National Democratic Party will now stand behind her as a hero, and they'll make sure that she'll be the nominee on the Democrat side for the next election. And of course, the people of New Mexico, because they don't really pay attention to politics and all they know is Republicans are racist, they want to arrest everyone that's an illegal immigrant and put them in jail. They're going to believe all this stuff. And so they're just going to vote for the Democrat. Because the Democrat's like, I'm going to cancel your student loan debt. Okay, I want the free money, even though she tramples on my constitutional rights. Because trust me, if they do this to the Second Amendment, they're going to do it to the First. Well, they really already are. They're going to do it to the Fourth and the Fifth Amendment. Because their oath isn't absolute. They don't have to follow the Constitution anymore. Right? They're tyrants. So voting them out, making sure they get recalled is an option. But the other option that we have is in the states where we control things, say Oklahoma, Texas, Florida. We need Republican and Libertarian leaders to stand up and start using these same tactics against their opponents. Start saying, we're going to outlaw this, whatever this certain issue is, even though maybe constitutionally they can't, and just play ball. And when they get dragged into court, go, listen, it was upheld in New Mexico. Everyone said that you could do this. It's the same thing. And fight it. But you know what? Our politicians will not do it. I know what some of you guys are going to say. Jason, you sound crazy. You can't fight tyranny with tyranny. Well, maybe you can. You have to understand that as long as you are playing honest and fair, and the other side is cheating, and you allow them to cheat, you will always lose. You don't bring a knife to a gunfight. You don't bring a pistol to a rifle fight. But that's what our side does all the time. So, if you live in New Mexico, you need to be angry. You need to be calling your representatives. But what are the representatives going to do? I can already tell you. They're going to send a very mean and strongly worded letter condemning what she did. But they're not going to have the votes to impeach her. They're not going to convict her. They might have a vote to have a hearing, to have a vote regarding an inquiry to see if what she did was an impeachable offense. And it absolutely goes nowhere. But they're doing something for you, right? Of course not. I can tell you if the shoe was on the other foot, they'd get something done. But they're not. They're not. Maybe the courts are going to step in. But I guarantee you that right now you're seeing the governors of states like California, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, pretty much all of the usual suspects. They're looking at this and they're already going, well, I have a gun violence epidemic too. That's a public health crisis. In fact, maybe I can use this public health crisis to do all these other things. Maybe I can get rid of private schools, or maybe I can close down churches, or maybe I can do universal mail-in voting because of public health crises. And of course, the citizens will most likely allow it, and the judges will uphold it, because we live in a post-constitutional republic. So I'm not coming here to tell you necessarily what the solutions are or what to do. I mean, go out and vote if you feel like that's going to do something. I don't think it is anymore. I think our only recourse is to encourage the politicians that are on our side to start playing ball the same way the other side does. The red states need to stop enforcing federal gun laws and use law enforcement resources to stop the federal government from enforcing gun laws. Just like they do when it comes to drug laws, let's say in Colorado or California. They stop the feds from investigating there. They stop the feds from stopping people from going state to state if abortion is illegal. Or gender transition surgeries. We hear about this all the time. So we need to start doing the same thing. And I think that's the only way to do this. Because once the other side starts to go, whoa, 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 this is getting out of control because they're using our tactics against us, Okay, maybe we need to come back and do this the constitutional way. Sometimes you cannot reason with people that are unreasonable. And people that are on the left, and this governor of New Mexico is unreasonable. The reason I'm so passionate about this is not just because I'm a pro-gun person, but it's also because from 2002 to 2004, I lived in New Mexico. In fact, I lived in the city of Albuquerque. I got my master's degree at the University of New Mexico, and I fell in love with the land of enchantment. It's an absolutely beautiful state. And I recently went back on a vacation, and I was saddened by the state of affairs. You have homeless everywhere, drug dealers everywhere, people tweaking out on the streets. Every place I went to, like drugstores, if I need to go get a Tylenol, everything is behind plexiglass. And as soon as you get out of a car, you have panhandlers all over you in these places that used to be safe. And the whole reason the governor created this order was because an 11-year-old girl got shot in Albuquerque. And of course, that's a tragedy. I feel sorry for her family. But you know what caused this? It wasn't the gun. It wasn't really as much the person that probably shot the person. What it was is the culture. The culture of not enforcing laws, allowing gangs to run free, allowing essentially the city of Albuquerque to be a lawless place because the police have their hands tied. They can't enforce the law. You have probably a district attorney that lets people out on cashless bail. People that shouldn't be on the street that have committed violent crimes, they just let out. The people that are truly at fault here are the politicians, the DAs, and the judges. Those are the people that really killed this 11-year-old girl. And why you, if you live in New Mexico, and in Albuquerque specifically, you're losing your Second Amendment rights. Not because you as a law-abiding citizen who went out and got a carry permit did anything wrong, or you as a gun owner did anything wrong, because most likely you would use that gun to defend yourself, the people you love, and your fellow citizens from harm. But you're losing your rights because politicians don't want to do anything. And when they do want to do something, it's to strip you of your rights. You have to recall them. And you need to encourage the politicians that are on our side to start playing the same game that they do. In my opinion, it's the only way that we will ever win this battle. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today. I know a lot of people are going to disagree, but I hope you guys watch to the end and understand my reasoning for how I think and why I think the way that I do. So let me know what you think in the comment section below. And should we start to play the game dirty? We are playing a game against people that are dishonorable and dishonest. Maybe we need to start doing the same thing. So, as always, thanks for watching.